After a week-long humanitarian pause, the IDF has reinstated its missile attacks on southern Gaza. The IDF says more than 400 targets across the Gaza Strip have been hit. And according to the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza, at least 200 Palestinians have been killed since the fighting resumed. The continued war is putting a strain on relations here in the United States between the Biden administration and the Muslim community, resulting in a small group of prominent Muslim Americans going to the White House recently to discuss Islamophobia with President Biden. Joining me now, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, who was at that White House meeting. Attorney General Ellison, thank you very much for coming back to the show. Bring us inside the meeting. What happened? What was said?
Well, a number of really eloquent, passionate leaders shared with the president how, as this war moves on, it is escalating anti-Muslim hate, anti-Jewish hate. It is not good for domestic relations. In fact, some of the folks from Chicago made it emphatically clear that 6-year-old Wadia murdered his mother, stabbed, because he was Palestinian and because his landlord thought that was what he should do. And we're seeing these tensions escalate. And the point is that there are domestic ramifications as this war moves on. So the request was made that this matter needs to be a ceasefire. And also there needs to be a permanent state for Palestinian people to live in. That is the way to undermine Hamas, to give the Palestinian people what they deserve and what they need and what has been our policy for so long. But anti-Muslim hate is a real thing. We had people speak eloquently on this point, and to really drive home to the president the urgency. And the president was very empathetic. The president listened attentively. The president was very clear that he needed to watch how he talked about this to make sure that he's looking out for the interests of all Americans, including the Muslim community. But the message was left very clear. This war is obviously devastating and deadly for the people of Gaza, and it has implications in the United States for Islamophobia and anti-Semitism.
So then, Attorney General Ellison, since that meeting, how do you feel about the administration's response? Well,
I think everyone has to say that the ceasefire pause for humanitarian reasons was a welcome thing. It needs to be extended. We need to get about the business of stabilizing people in Gaza, of stopping the bloodshed, rebuilding, and that will allow the domestic politics of the United States to stabilize as well. At this point, you just never know what person's going to strike out in violence and hurt somebody who's Muslim or Jewish because they think that's the way to advance their position in that war in the Middle East. And again, as I use the word war, I use it advisedly. I think it's more of a massacre than a war. And that point was made to the president as well. Of course, everybody was real clear that the tragic attack on Israeli citizens on October 7th is completely unacceptable. Everyone condemned it. But the aftermath is something that is just catastrophic when you look at more than now 11,000 dead. We shared with the president that a lot of Americans have loved ones in Gaza. One personal friend of mine has a body count in her personal family unit of over 100 right now. So we tried to make that point abundantly clear.
Real quickly, Attorney General Ellison, a lot of the conversation here at home is about the political fallout for the president and for the administration in the upcoming presidential election, with many Muslim Americans going on the record saying they supported him in 2020 and they're definitely not going to support him in 2024. Do you believe that that is indeed the case? And can the White House, can the president win those people back?
Well, I believe that the sooner these hostilities, this violence ends, the sooner we can get back to the work of trying to repair this broken fence. I will tell my friends in the Muslim community that this is a binary race. We're going to have Biden or Trump as the president, and Trump is the one who has said that he would expand the Muslim ban. He's the one who actually kicked the diplomatic presence of Palestinians out of the United States. He's the one who said he would let this current crisis go on unabated. He's the one who said he would not allow Gazan refugees to come into the United States. The sad reality is that that Trump is catastrophic for the United States and the Muslim community, and that Biden is at least pushing for humanitarian pauses, and he's aware that the expansion of this war has global implications that are very negative for the United States, and he understands the urgency of a Palestinian state. So some folks are saying that they're having to pick between something they're unhappy with and something that they really, really, really cannot accept. And that's a tough position for any voter to be in. But I'm trying to communicate to people in the Muslim community that Joe Biden is the best chance for people in Gaza and around the world right now, as difficult as that may be.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, thank you for joining us, especially since you're taking time out to join us while you're there in South Africa. Safe travels home.
Thank you.